I'm a city planner and an urban designer, and I'm passionate about improving people's lives and making our cities and neighborhoods great places to be. And I'm here today to tell you the most important tool in my work is a chair. Why? Because this chair has the power to change the world. But not just any chair. I want you to look around you today. You came into this auditorium and you had very few choices. You could sit in the front or the back. If you got here early, maybe you had an empty row. But you can't turn your seat around to talk to the person behind you. You can't pull everyone up in a circle, grab a piece of paper, and brainstorm the great ideas you're going to get from my talk. You can't social network, job seek, brainstorm, or even flirt in the space you're in right now. And that brings me back to my chair and a discussion of space and place. Because if you could move your chair in this space today and take shape and control of your physical environment, you would engage in a process that city planners call placemaking. Placemaking is the act of people coming together in their physical space to deliberately design and plan and maintain their public spaces to facilitate social interaction and improve quality of life. We're all placemakers, and placemaking is central to our lives because the streets and the sidewalks and the plazas are the arenas of civility that are important to us. From the parks where we enjoy flora and fauna, to the benches where we cuddle and maybe fall in love, to the urban fountains that are playgrounds for our kids. We converse and connect in public spaces. In the public realm is the connective tissue that binds all of us together as individuals and as a community. And in the long history of human settlement, public space has reflected the needs and the cultures of society. From the Greek agora to the New England town green, our spaces have reflected the climates and the government structures and the social norms and the religions of our cultures. We know how to be placemakers, and we've done it for thousands of years. Now, there's a bad part to every story, and this is where the bad news comes in. Something went horribly wrong along the way for placemaking. In the 20th century, our love of the automobile and urban renewal and slum clearance projects, even suburbanization, destroyed countless public places across the country. Government centralized control and regulations, spaces and services were privatized, and the public lost its local and active political voice. What was the result? We've seen some of that result. Barren spaces that are more conducive to the automobile than to people. And the remarkable thing is that most of these spaces were designed by experts and professionals. In 1914, political scientists told us that civilians should show humility in the face of expertise. And we believed them. We ceded the control and our knowledge of our physical environment to the experts. Now, the good news comes. Beginning in the 1960s, urban sociologists like Jane Jacobs and William White pushed back on those experts. They began to look at what are the design elements that make great spaces for all of us, and also to begin to advocate that people, end users like you and me, get input into the design process of those spaces. I'm here today because placemaking has moved even farther than that. My research at MIT has shown that the very local actions and the hands-on involvement and collaborative decision-making in communities is affecting profound change at a local level. So what does that look like? I want to walk you through quickly 3 placemaking stories to tell you. The first story is about how a temporary event run over 4 years can change how people think about their cities and their environments. Just an event. In the adjacent cities of Moorhead, Minnesota and Fargo, North Dakota, the annual Streets Alive event brings together between 6,000 and 8,000 people, pedestrians, cyclists, skateboarders, to follow a 3-mile temporary car-free loop between the 2 cities. Participants enjoy a healthy food festival, they do slow bike races, participate in Native American drumming sessions, and have active games for kids. This kind of event is happening across the US. It's part of an open streets movement, and it's changing the way people think about their neighbors, their environment, and local planning issues. Fargo and Moorhead are very conservative cities, the kinds of places where discussion about building higher density and government beginning to regulate the use of the automobile do not play well. But these events were initially marketed as healthy living events that crosses political boundaries. And what happened along the way over these 4 years is that how people began to see what life was like when they were out of their cars, when they were connecting with their neighbors. There was a sea change. There was the beginning of an embrace of environmental sustainability and a notion of alternative transportation sources, a change that local city planners actually attribute to these temporary events. I want to take you now 2,500 miles away, and probably half a world away, to Santurce, Puerto Rico, a district of San Juan with 90,000 people in over 40 neighborhoods. Puerto Rico has gone through extreme economic stress, for any of you who are reading the newspapers, and Puerto Ricans can no longer rely on the US government to give them everything they need. At the same time, the island, because of colonial occupation, first by the Spaniards and then the US government, has developed a culture of dependence. And there's not a lot of local collaborative action, local nonprofits, community development corporations. The Foundation for Puerto Rico believes that the best the island has to offer is its people, and that its people need to learn how to act for themselves. For the last year, I've been helping the foundation convene an effort, a placemaking initiative for that whole district of 90,000 people called Imagine Santurce. And that includes some of the wealthiest people in the district as well as some of the poorest on the island. And they're coming together monthly around working groups in economic development, in how to repurpose vacant buildings, their arts and culture, safety and transportation, to try to make a difference in their lives and to begin to collaborate. They even now have volunteer days and other efforts to revitalize this area of San Juan that was once considered the vibrant downtown for the entire island. What is most remarkable to me as a city planner about this effort is that this entire thing is happening outside of the framework or the active input of government. Puerto Ricans are learning how to pick up their chair and move them to make a better future. I have one more placemaking stop for you. Over 10 years ago, speeding cars were regularly crashing into homes in the Bernal Heights neighborhood of San Francisco. Neighbors were strangers across a 6-lane speedway that was their local street. One neighbor, fed up with the frustration and also the worry of her children going out to play, decided to take action. She went door to door and face to face to connect with neighbors she had never met, to try to get them to channel that frustration and outrage into constructive action. And it worked. They got 6 lanes cut down to 4, bike lanes put in, and lowered the speeds. Then they got a regional planning grant and worked with the city to use temporary and recycled materials to build a park where the asphalt median in the middle of that roadway once stood. This project was about collaboration and cooperation. of everyone working together to build social and political capital to make things happen. In 2010, the new park opened, becoming a vibrant green space within an area of a neighborhood that one resident used to call a traffic sewer. And that space has reconnected and reunified this community. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of stories like these that I see around the country. Stories that are inspiring, they're replicable, and they offer tangible evidence how citizens, how everyday people like you, with no prior experience, are making improvements in their public space, improving their public health, their transportation, their safety, their economic opportunity. What is so incredible to me about these placemaking stories is that the actions have become just as important as the spaces and the events that they create. It's what my MIT team calls the virtuous cycle of placemaking, in which the iterative actions and collaborations inherent in the making nurture communities, empower people, and feed their social lives. And this can't be accomplished by professionals and experts. This comes from you. These actions and these skills needed to affect change. The deliberating, the organizing, the fundraising, the maintaining, the designing are the same skills needed to affect change across the globe. Why? Because our global is someone else's local. You don't change the world by saying, how do I change the world? You change the world by asking the question, what do you need? What are your local political systems, your local building materials? Who can you partner with? Placemaking is not about asking, what can we get? Placemaking is about asking, how can we act? And that acting creates a mutual stewardship of place and community, in which community transforms place, which transforms community, which transforms the world. Are you passionate about global change? Would you like to inspire your children? Teach your students. Placemaking is an open source platform. It's accessible, it's adaptable, and it's free. You can all do it. Get out of your houses and look around. Read the local news, not just the national and the international headlines. Don't expect government to fix everything. Find something you want to change that's easy and quick and impactful, and do it. Look for collaborators. Placemaking can give you the skills to be a global change agent, because placemaking is the local that drives the global. Pick up your chair and move it. The world is waiting. Thank you.